We are live. Got some guests. Go ahead and bring them in. Get this started. First, from S'mores Indoors, Corey.
What's up,
How you?
everyone? How you doing, Jake?
Good. How you been?
I've been doing good. Excited for this show, for sure.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
The 90s ain't as bad, as people think it is. I don't think.
Well, I had a strange theory when I was making this list. Kind of mentioned it before we started up, but 91 I started high school, and from then to like end of the 90s, I was doing high school to college. So there's a lot that while I was making the list, I realized I need to see. So my list is what it is. It should be fun still.
Yeah. All right. Any Jeff Graham,
Hello.
Cable Channel 11. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back. I've been waiting for this for a couple months, as a few people, I'm sure. And like Corey was just saying, I'm kind of the opposite because I found the 90s, man, there was a lot more that it was made it tough to like put in a top 5 because there was some good movies in some of the years. And you think of the 90s often as, oh, that's just some bad years for horror.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with that horror was kind of dead theatrically there for a little bit until Scream, obviously. But there was a lot
Right.
of, straight to video stuff that filled it out pretty nice.
Yeah, you got some great straight to video stuff, and you've got the 80s horror that kind of overflowed into the 90s with its sequels and final movies, quote.
Yeah.
So, should be fun.
And we got the other co-host, Cable Channel 11, Corey with a K.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Was it a lot easier for you to put this list together than the last one?
Yeah, I think the 90s was definitely the reverse of the 80s. It was more trying to weed it out as opposed to which ones I should watch and hadn't. So,
Well, and then last but not least, don't call it a comeback.
What's going on, guys?
How are you doing? Been a while.
It's been a while, but glad to hang out with y'all guys again
It's very,
Yeah.
very great to see you.
and talking about the '90s. Wasn't the greatest decade, but it was okay.
Oh, and
About it. Well, like a lot of these movies, like are movies that I remember seeing either in theater or they were like new rentals. You see the posters when you went in the movie store.
Yeah.
And this is the age of the internet, so all the horror seemed to
Yep.
kind of flow into the sci-fi genre.
Kind of the age of when Blockbuster came into prominence too, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of an interesting time.
We got a straggler here, Mr. Dan Sean.
What's up, guys?
No Santa suit.
What's up?
That's because I got home late. I was gonna do it, but yeah. Sorry, no Santa Dan. How are you
That
guys
tells you
doing?
people have been watching.
There you go.
I might not have been around, but I've been watching.
Lurking in the shadows.
The region-free Christmas special for Santa Dan.
And of course, Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise over on the Horror Rumble. Dan.
Yes.
Santa Dan appeared over there.
It's true.
2 Santa Dans.
What are your thoughts on the horror for the 90s there, Dan?
So it was always there was less of it, like volume-wise. There was certainly a huge drop-off from the 80s. Well, and even more the 70s as well. But there are gems there. There's actually some fantastic movies in the 90s that, get overlooked. So I think more volume than quality. There was some quality there. You just had to dig a little more.
Yeah. And, we got a lot of different age groups here, so I guess there should be different answers. But what your opinion is, was horror dead in the 90s until Scream came along, I guess?
I was not a big fan of the Scream wave. I mean, it brought it back in terms of theatrical box office, but no, I mean, it was never completely dead. It just, I don't know. I always go back to it. It's a volume thing. It's not a quality thing necessarily. There was a lot of crap in the 80s. By the late 80s in particular, you could see they were churning them out quick and cheap.
Well, everybody got the list? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
See how we're gonna do this. I don't want the same person having to go first the whole time. So we'll kind of switch it up. I guess I'll start. My number 5 film for 1990 is a movie I didn't even know existed till I blind bought it from Vinegar Syndrome. Blood Games.
Just missed my list.
It's not really so much of a horror as it is exploitation, kind of, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I love that movie. I'm so glad I bought it. It's still one of my favorite.
It's fun.
It's one of my favorite films I bought from Vinegar Syndrome. But that is my number 5.
Me next, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get that ready.
Okay. My number 5 is Slumber Party Massacre 2. I just like the... it's so goofy and cheesy and... the musical style to it and everything. I just have a fun time with that one. So, and Crystal Bernard. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So,
I didn't
realize that was 90.
Me either.
it's on the list I saw. I'm assuming we might have some differences there, but that was the list I saw. So.
Yeah, because I would have swore I would have had that in the honorable mention pile. But we going to me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
My number 5, Psycho 4.
Interesting.
Is that the
I've
one
grown
that's
to
made
love
for TV?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've grown to love them, all 4 of them, over the last few years. So.
Yeah, that's not many people like that one.
I mean, it's definitely lower on the original series, but it's still a fun movie.
I'll have to go back and watch it then. It's been forever since I've seen it. Corey? Yeah, well, Corey?
All right. My number 5, Shock 'em Dead. I'm a huge heavy metal 80s hard rock guy and just kind of flowed over from the 80s. So,
Tracy Lords, right?
yep.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's on Blu-ray.
It is on Blu-ray?
Yeah. Should still be in print.
I'll have to check that out. Timmy?
I'm gonna go. It's probably not. Y'all probably don't consider it horror, but I'm gonna consider it horror. So screw y'all. It's gonna be I Come in Peace, or was it Dark Angel? I think it's the original title.
Mm-hmm.
It's one I remember watching. I remember watching on HBO and when it was on, and it's one of those childhood favorites of mine.
It's good. It's the villain, it looks like a DVD that he's chasing everybody around
Yeah.
with.
And he extracts stuff from their people's brains or something.
Yeah.
Or a drug for Kind of like a drug.
Yeah, it's been a while since I bought it when Screen Factory released it, but I haven't seen it since then. Got Jonathan, Stone Man, Uncle Sam. Didn't make my list, but not very good.
Didn't you do a commentary with Steak on Uncle Sam here on your channel?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I watch Uncle Sam every year because I think it's one of the only 4th of July horror movies, but it's not the best.
I like Uncle Sam. No shame if anybody picks it.
Dan?
So you're counting top 5 for each year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So number 5, which I kind of feel is gonna be higher for a lot of people, but I don't know. There's some others that I just like, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I do love this film. It's a classic, and I got to go Jacob's Ladder.
Didn't make my list, so.
Yeah,
Mine.
I've got some schlock for 1990. I was like, I got to have one classy film.
Jacob's Ladder. All right. Who will start off number 4? So, same person got to go. We'll go in reverse.
Oh,
Dan can go 4, and then we'll work our way back around.
sure. All right. So I will actually lie a little bit because I do have one other one that could be considered, I guess, a little more classy, and that is Reflecting Skin, which I think is a great film. Easy to find if anybody's looking for these, because I know Echo Bridge put it out, so you can probably get it on a $5 set, but kind of an early Viggo Mortensen movie. Reflecting Skin's great.
I never heard of it. I'm going to have to.
Yeah. It's on a single Blu-ray, too, if you like it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that, but I got another Viggo Mortensen early film on my list here.
Oh, I think I know what that is.
Timmy?
I'm just gonna go with the classic Tremors.
Oh, yeah.
Sherman's?
Ain't really much to say about it.
I mean, it's got Reba and Kevin Bacon. No, you really can't go wrong.
Now, see, I wanted to put Tremors on here, but to me, it is horror, but it's more like thriller action.
Well, I just put I Come on Peace, and I don't think that's horror at all, but you know.
Oh, there's some brain sucking in that. I'd say it counts.
Yeah, it counts. Count it.
That's how this list is gonna go for me. Questionable.
Oh, I've got questionable ones. Don't worry, they're coming.
Yeah. I think we all probably do. Corey?
Number 4, Psycho 4.
Okay.
Getting some love.
Wow, I'm not even surprised by that. Nice.
Jeff?
I'm kind of kicking myself for not having Tremors on my list because I love that effing movie. But I just had to say that. It's not on my list, but it probably should be. My number 4 is Night of the Living Dead 90.
Classic.
Classic.
Um,
What can I say?
my number 4 is Troll 2.
Classic.
It's a classic as well.
I know it's shitty, but yes.
It's a good
Yeah,
shit.
it's so bad it's good, though.
Yeah.
And my number 4 is Night of the Living Dead as well. I'll go ahead and say it. I prefer this to Romero's original. So
Nice.
I think it's, well, not a popular opinion, but
I think it actually is. I think a lot of fans really appreciate the remake, the 90 remake.
decent. It's just a shame that Savini had such an awful time directing that he didn't direct again.
He did well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, I guess I'll start number 3, Tim. My number 3, Predator 2. Um, I think it's super underrated. Nobody talks about it. And it's just as much fun to me as the original. Great movie.
My number 3 is Stephen King's It.
I almost forgot when I was making my list that came out in the 90s.
That would definitely be an honorable mention for me. Again,
I
don't
can't
know
wait
why
to
that's-
see your list then.
I don't know why that slipped my mind. And then, what'd you say? You said Predator 2? It's
Yeah.
another solid movie, but I categorize that more like sci-fi action. That's me. Number 3, is that me?
Yep, Horror Purist, yes, number 3.
Misery.
I just finished the book, so I gotta rewatch the movie.
Nice.
I'm not the biggest fan of that movie.
No?
No.
Oh.
But
How's the book, Timmy?
From what I remember, it's a little bit different than the movie. But
Still
yeah,
good,
the book's
really.
pretty decent. I think the ending's different, if I can remember right. It's probably been 90 since I watched Misery.
Oh.
So number 3 is classy one, Frankenhooker. I've got to be honest, since I first found the VHS that asked me if I wanted a date, I've always loved Frankenhooker. So there we go.
I love pressing that button.
Frankenlauter classic.
Yes. Bad Biology's not a bad one he did towards the end of his career, if you like that.
What? Timmy?
My number 3's Predator 2 also. It's I think it's underrated. Some people love it, some people hate it. So
It's really good.
My number 3 is Sorority House Massacre.
It's a good one.
Always get that one confused with House on Sorority
Sorority
Row.
Row.
See, I used to confuse Slumber Party and Sorority House Massacres.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or did they have the same beginning?
I don't know. I just remember them both having boobs, and that was cool.
That's all you need.
That's all that matters.
Back then, that's all that mattered.
It was.
Yeah.
Now, which one of these had the more boob scenes? Was it the guitar drill or the?
Yeah. And Dan, you can start us off with number
Number
2.
2. All right. Well, a lot. Well, I guess this one's somewhat obscure. I got to go with Baby Blood, which is really, really gory, wild little movie. If you guys haven't seen it, and a French film, technically, which was kind of rare at that time.
I'm not gonna know half these movies that are on your list, Dan.
They're actually not as obscure for the 90s. If it was 80s, you'd get a lot of,
Yeah.
a lot of very hard to find ones.
Where are we at? We're on number 2, right? Timmy?
Jacob's Ladder.
This one I'm gonna have to go back and watch too. I don't remember anything about it.
That's good if you don't remember what happens. Yeah.
My number 2 is Child's Play 2.
I was curious to see where this one ends up on everybody's list. It's a good one. Just go.
Well, this one wasn't number 1, but I had to bump it down to number 2, and it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, or Leatherface: The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Love it. Vigo.
Yeah.
It's good. I don't mind it.
It's great to me. Those first three are just nothing's better since then.
My number 2 is Exorcist 3.
That's another one. I had that one on my list to rewatch, and I just didn't get around
Yeah, I
to
gotta
it.
rewatch it too.
It's a good one.
It don't feel like it should be a. It don't feel like a '90s movie, does it? Still feel like
No.
an '80s one.
Yeah.
My number 2 is It.
Cool.
And then I guess I'll go ahead and start off with number 1. My number 1 is Child's Play 2.
Shocker.
It's my favorite out of the whole series. I think it's better than the first one. It's just got a lot more going for it, and the whole ending in the toy house. I mean, or the toy factory. That's what nightmares are made of, right there.
Yes.
Classic.
Well, my number 1's been mentioned already, and I just really had a good time with this the first time I saw it, and I still enjoy watching it. And it's the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Nice.
I'm hoping that we'll get a proper Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
That Twilight Times one was awful.
My number 1, same as Jake's, Child's Play 2. What can you say? You said it all.
My number 1, which I actually believe is better than the remake, is It.
Yep. Yeah. See, I like the adult part of the remake more than the adult part in the miniseries. So it's like half and half. Yeah, the adult part of the miniseries I think sucks. I don't care for it.
But see, I think the kid part in the remake blows the second one away, part 2, chapter 2. I thought
Yeah.
chapter 1 was much better.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Timmy?
My number 1 is Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
Good classic.
Yes.
Cool.
The Shimi, Slayer, Debbie Harris. It's great.
Good anthology.
For 90, my number 1's got to be Nightbreed. I'm a big Clive Barker guy, so yeah,
That was
Nightbreed.
an honorable mention for me.
Night.
I
I
remember.
want to watch Nightbreed again, but I only have the director's cut, and I don't want to watch the director's cut. So I'm trying to find the original without, because it only released Screen Factory only released it in that special edition, right? The
Yeah,
theatrical cut.
there's like 3 cuts. There's the Cabal cut, which is just ridiculous. Then there's like that. I get mixed up. There's that super extended cut where somebody's dead 1 minute and then they're in a scene the next. So it's kind of, yeah.
But let's see.
This just shows you that there's just so much. Hey Ben, so much flowing over from the 80s of horror still at this time, and you've got things that we haven't even mentioned. Things like Prom Night 3, Amityville Curse, Puppet Master 2, Blood Moon. Not necessarily like greatest movies, but I'm sure you've all seen them at that time as a big part of our younger.
Let's see. We got Ben's in here.
It was a kiss.
I'm being super slow. Hold on. All right. And then we're going to move on to 1991, the year of your Lord and Savior. 91 was an okay. It was a pretty decent year, actually. I think you had a horror film in here that won an Oscar, got an Oscar nod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd call it a thriller, but it's horror.
Just getting technical over there.
It just is.
Well, Lauren would yell at me. He's like, a thriller is a horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do this. Corey with the K. You can start us off with your number 5.
My number 5. Sometimes they come back.
That is one of the, I think, the only Stephen King adaptations I have not seen. So
It's a
I
good
have
one.
it. I have it. I just haven't. There's 3 sequels, right?
Yeah.
At
I
least
think so.
2.
At least 2. I'm not, probably 3.
I think there are
But
3.
that first film,
It is pretty good though, worth watching.
it's I don't want to like overhype it for you, and you watch it and you're like, what were you talking about? But it's just enjoyable. I rewatched it this past year too, and still liked it a lot.
I remember it does have like a lot of inner monologue with the main characters. Like he's like talking to himself, but that's kind of like how Stephen King writes. So
Yeah.
Timmy?
mine. So kind of got a tie. It's cheap, but I'm gonna go with it. Cast a Deadly Spell, which technically I guess isn't really a horror movie, more of a Lovecraftian noir. Or I was also going to pick Class of Nukem High 2 because that was the first movie I watched on USA Up All Night when I discovered it, just flipping through, and it had that the mutant belly button mouth, and that's when I discovered Trauma. So
Good.
Uh,
Show the trauma.
That is a really good pick. 1991 is. There's not a lot of like stone cold classics necessarily, but there were a lot of fun movies. There's a lot of movies that I have a lot of nostalgia for in 91, and it's probably the only one that I could put on a top 5 for any year in this franchise. But I'm a Full Moon guy, and I love Puppet Master 3, which I think is probably the best Full Moon movie. They still had the Paramount deal and the nifty sets and everything. So, yeah, Puppet Master 3. Toulon's Revenge.
That's they're in Germany, right? Back in World War II.
Yeah.
That's the start of the World War II stuff that they still do to this day. So.
you said Full Moon, I thought he was going to go with Subspecies or something.
Well, that would have been 90, but yeah, a little more nostalgia for Puppet Master.
Graham, happy holidays to you too, dude.
Yep.
Jesco?
All right. Number 5 is also Sometimes They Come Back, and Tom McLaughlin directing it. Friday 6 director. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. Man.
It's solid. It's just a good, solid horror movie.
My number 5, I don't even really like that much, but I guess this was a slim year for me. So I just put Freddy's Dead.
Oh,
Well, I got a lot of good stuff to say about it.
Sorry, Jess.
Oh, I had to throw something up there.
At least it's on my top 5. I could have said,
Well, I'm thankful for that.
well,
Yeah.
Good Lord.
My number 5 is Ghoulies 3. Ghoulies Go to College. Oh man, like it's not a good movie by any means, but I have a ton of fun with it.
Ghoulies 3 is fun.
Oh, it's a ton of fun. Yeah,
I think that's what counts.
yeah, that's all that matters. Like just the whole scene where they're raiding the fridge and drinking all that beer. I don't know if y'all seen it.
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time. I'll start number 4. My number 4 is Child's Play 3. the Child's Play 2 and 3 definitely a big part of my childhood. And I know a lot of people really don't like part 3 that much, but I like it. And I love the ending when they're on the haunted ride or whatever. So yeah.
My number 4 is The People Under the Stairs.
Classic.
My number 4 is also the people under the stairs. I didn't realize I was going to go so fast there.
That's what she said.
But I mean, what can I say? I like a lot of Wes Craven. So
That's a good one.
that's one of his really good ones, in my opinion.
It's getting remade, unfortunately,
Ah,
by Jordan Peele.
criminy.
Sorry, I forgot. Who goes next? Me?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 for me. Ironically, not this director's best movie, but it is really good, and that is Michele Soavi's The Sect in my number 4. Most people know him for Cemetery Man, but he was that Italian master of horror that still managed to make some good movies going into the 90s, where everything in that industry went to television, so horror was dead in the water, but he carried on the tradition for as long as he could.
That's one I've been meaning to pick up from Ronin Flicks.
Yeah, they did a really good release on that.
Timmy?
My number 4, mine's Freddy's Dead. It feels like a '90s movie, '90s Freddy's movie. And speaking of like full moon, to me it feels like a '90s full moon movie. But it's a classic. It's probably my second favorite Freddy movie. There's only 2.
Oh, wow. Of course.
My number 4 is 976 Evil 2.
Oh.
This was the first movie I ever saw where the good guys ended up losing at the end.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
It's been what, 25 years?
Depends who you consider to be the good guys.
Well, I
Never
mean,
know.
Spike dies, the female lead gets taken to an insane asylum and gets blamed for it. I mean,
It is a Jim Wynorski joint, too.
First movie is so much better. I don't even think the sequel deserved to be on a list.
that's why it's my list, Jess, and not yours.
Shots fired.
Wait,
Jess
we're not
is
friends
salty
anymore.
today.
That's
remember?
right.
We're not friends.
All right. Number 3. Corey? Okay.
Me? Sorry.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Puppet Master 3.
Solid. Timmy?
My number 3, which I've seen 2 different dates for it, but I'm gonna go with 91 on it. Is Highway to Hell.
I got it for 92, so
Well,
either way, it doesn't matter.
mine's right. Yours is wrong.
All right. But it is a great movie if you guys have not seen it. Love it.
It is. So 3 for me. I know it's already been mentioned tonight, but I love this movie. I'm a big Lovecraft guy, and it's Cast a Deadly Spell. I do really love that movie. That's one of the ones that's not made it to Blu-ray yet that I really love to own. Well, it hasn't officially made it to DVD for that matter. So it's a lot of fun. Fred Ward's great in it, and if you get a shot to check it out, check out Cast a Deadly Spell.
Check it out. Jess?
Oh, my number 3 has also been mentioned. Child's Play 3. Love it.
This is a good one.
My number 3 is a It's a remake. I prefer the original, but I thought this one was decent as Cape Fear.
Been a while since I've seen that. My number 3 has already been mentioned as well. It's People Under the Stairs.
Cool.
Classic. And I'll start off number 2. And I think this was released overseas in like '89, but didn't come out here until '91. That is Warlock. I don't know. It's really good. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Oscar movie Silence of the Lambs.
I'm curious to see how many people's list it makes. Jess?
Oh, my number 2. It's hard to put a Freddy movie in number 2, but Freddy's Dead.
You just disappointed me. But
Oh, we were supposed to share number 1. I can't help it though. Couldn't help it. It just wouldn't have been right if I would have did that.
whatever. Corey?
My number 2 is Dan. You said that Subspecies was released in '90, but the list I looked at said '91. But Subspecies is my number 2.
Okay.
It's like that was one of my least favorite full moon movies, I think, and I don't know why. Maybe because I was so young when I watched it the first time. I just need to go back and watch it.
I love Subspecies, and Radu, in my opinion, is probably the most underrated vampire in all of horror. So
And the sequels get better, I think. I like 3. 3 is really good.
Subspecies was the first film they shot out that way once the walls came down, which made it kind of interesting. First American movie that was shot in right there in Romania, so it's definitely authentic.
Kenny?
What are we on? 3?
2?
2 Silence of the Lambs.
My number 2 is Dan O'Bannon's very overlooked The Resurrected. Yeah, always loved that film. It's kind of unknown for a long time. I think the Blu-ray, once it came out, got more eyes on it. Great little Chris Sarandon film that a lot of people don't talk about.
Did Severin put that out? Who put that out on Blu-ray?
That was Scream Factory, I believe.
Screen Factory? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it or seen it. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. So.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's one you'll like.
We're ready for number 1, right?
Yeah.
Corey, you okay? Start us off.
number 1, in my opinion, is the best full moon movie ever made, Puppet Master 2.
I do. I like 2 quite a bit, especially the endings. Really,
2 is
people dolls or. Well,
Biggest
great.
missed opportunity, in my opinion. They should have followed up on the ending to that one. I would have loved to have seen the puppets in a children's hospital.
so true. That's where I thought they were going, and that ending made me so excited for part 3, and that's why I disliked the actual part 3 so much. But wasn't this movie possibly done a year earlier? Wasn't it 90? But they were both in the same year.
I think they were
2
both
and
in the
3.
same year.
I mean,
Well, I would give that an honorable mention because that is one of the better Puppet Master movies. And I was going to say, I'm surprised nobody said Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, but Ben Grimm in the chat
Yeah, I'll
did
get
put
to
that on his list.
once we get done with that. I'll get to you. Timmy, number one.
The greatest movie ever made, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Okay, so this brings up some more of my controversy. Now, and I have this issue down the road here, and we're going to talk about it more. Isn't that hard to categorize something like that? Because that's comedy. It's kind of its own genre. It's either, if I owned a video store, it would be either under its own section of Ernest movies, or it would be in the Halloween section, Halloween movies section. Like
It's
Christmas
kind of a
movies.
horror movie, though.
The
But
beginning
all
shows
Halloween
classic
movies
horror
are to a
movies.
degree horror, but you wouldn't call like a Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown horror. But
It's family friendly, but I'd say it could qualify as horror. I mean,
it definitely does, and I've got one later on the list too. I'm just saying, if you had a video store, wouldn't you have like that would be a Halloween movie, not necessarily in the horror section, but if you'd had a Christmas section, a Halloween section.
But would Silence of the Lambs be in the horror section, or would it be in just the hits?
Well, can I just go ahead and jump the gun? That's my number one because I felt like I had to. That would be in the thriller section for me, which is a subgenre of horror.
well,
Mystery or the thrillers. Yeah, mystery thriller.
Ernest, it'd probably be in the family. Not Ernest would be in the family section. Silence of the Lambs, I don't know where the hell else you put that, but horror. I mean,
Yeah.
they just didn't want to call it that, but I mean, cannibalism and skinning people. It's a horror movie, so. But believe it or not, it didn't make my list. I mean, I love the movie, but my number one has to be People Under the Stairs. It was always just as important to me as Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, Elm Street's the better movie, but I love People Under the Stairs.
It's a great effing movie. Did I make Jake mad?
It is.
Yes,
You did.
I was gonna say,
He
does
scored
anyone else feel like his first night back, Jess is giving Tim a lot of shit about his picks?
Sorry,
It's gonna be his last night back.
I did it again. We'll see you next Christmas.
Bring in Eric. Come on.
Come on down.
We want him to stay.
Me and Eric's going solo.
Oh, God.
Dan, you want to give
would
Jake
be your
your
biggest
number
fan.
one again?
Yeah. What was your number one?
My number one for 1991 is People Under the Stairs.
Classic.
It's a great movie. It really is. I mean, good enough that I got the cast sign poster in my poster room. I love it just as much as Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, not saying it's better or anything like that, but I love the movie.
I like it more than another movie of his that's going to come up on the list.
Oh,
But
yeah.
But it didn't make my list in that year. So
Jess, you already said yours was Silence of the Lambs, right?
I did.
Okay.
All right, so my number one. Here you go, Jake. My number one. I've always loved this movie. There's just something about it to me, and it's Sometimes They Come Back.
Cool.
So you can watch it.
I'm gonna have to now. It's on
everybody's
everybody's list. And my number one should be no surprise is Freddy's Dead.
It really should have been mine too, buddy.
It's great. I mean, I don't care what anybody says about it. I love it. All right. And then we got Ben Graham gave off his top 5. Freddy's Dead. Child's Play
forgot
3.
about Buddy.
Castelli Spell. Silent Night. They're only like 5. Wow.
Now,
Body Parts.
Yeah, Body Parts I probably should have had on that list somewhere.
I was shocked there was only 3 of you that had Silence of the Lambs, right? On your list?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm not. It's good, but I don't.
I will say I prefer Manhunter of any of those Hannibal Lecter movies.
Yeah, there's more and more people that say that now.
It's like a Hannibal Lecter Miami Vice. I guess the Michael Mann.
Oh. Alright, moving into 1992.
oh,
I'll start us off. My number 5, which it's already been talked about because we're apparently not sure what year it came out. Highway to Hell has a very, very young Ben Stiller in it,
Yeah. And Jerry.
and Jerry. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Kino's going to put it out on Blu-ray, so it's worth checking out. And I think it's on Prime to watch for free too.
Cool. My number 5 is one I saw maybe a couple of years ago, and I had a lot of fun with it. I probably need to rewatch it again, but it's The Vagrant with Bill Paxton.
I need to see that.
That's also a Scream Factory Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put that on multi-pack, didn't they?
Yeah, it's a multi-pack DVD, and then it's a single Blu-ray.
Or it is. Like,
Yeah.
just go.
I was sorry, reading Ben's. I had to bump Sleepwalkers off my number 5, so it's no longer on the list. And this was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Is my number 5.
I've never seen it.
Saw it in theaters, and we had basically a private screening, had a whole theater to ourselves. So
I
it's
hear it's
great.
really good. I guess gotta sit down and get in the mood for it or something.
It's different, you know. I was 11. I think it was more the experience that
Okay, Corey doesn't like it, so then maybe I don't need to watch it.
I mean, everyone has their likes and dislikes. I just prefer the Lugosi looking Dracula.
I do agree with you on that. Yeah, definitely.
So
But this year didn't have a Lugosi Dracula.
All right, 92 now, number 5. I guess with this, I gotta say, favorite doesn't necessarily mean best or that it's a, fantastic movie, but I love it. My number 5 pick is Evil Toons. Yes, best cartoon TNA flick ever made. In fact, at some point, I'm gonna get the artwork for that on a tattoo by Madison, who's an adult film actress who's in the movie. So she's actually gonna tattoo it on me when I can get back to LA next time. So obviously, I've got love for Evil Toons. It's fun.
It's one I've been wanting to see, but I know that Vinegar Syndrome did VSA and it's long sold out. Right?
No, Evil Toons actually you can get from Retro Media. Do you know? Well, I don't know if it's sold out, but yeah, it is on Blu-ray, and I think you can still get it. I'll send you a link if I can find it after the show.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Timmy?
Number 5 is the first Criterion film I've watched, and that's Man Bites Dog. Which technically is a mock-you documentary. But, so, Jess, go ahead. Scold me
Jess,
on
where
it.
you at? Scolding?
Number 4.
No. Jess, hang on.
you have
gotta
to.
throw
This
it
is
out
this is the point in the show when you shit on his pick. That's what he was queuing you up for.
Oh, okay. No, I was distracted. I saw again Single White Female, which also reminded me of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and then they're not on my list, but those are great movies of the 90s, but they're thrillers.
Corey, what's your number 5?
Well, my number 5, Jess can actually verify this. I've got a thing for Ditzy Blondes. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
There you go.
The movie?
Now, isn't that a comedy?
It would be a comedy on my shelves. It's a comedy.
It's got Ben Affleck. I mean, that's
It's got
horrible
Pee
enough,
Wee
isn't
Herman
it?
in it, too.
Yeah, Pee-wee.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a beard.
See, Ben Green. Never watched Silence of the Lambs. It's like one of those movies I've seen some clips and parodies of. I feel like I watched it. It's a really good movie. It didn't win an Oscar for nothing.
I do feel like it's a little overrated, though.
Yeah,
I
it's
know. Yeah, I know a lot of people seeing it for like the first time. Didn't have any, you know, pressure to call it a classic, but didn't see the big deal either. I think there's a lot of true crime stuff that came out after that people were essentially raised on. So they see it and it's just kind of okay. But, I mean, great movie, but I get it.
Darren Burrow's in here. Hello. He's listing off some of his favorite 90s horror. Candyman, Urban Legends. What you did last summer at Home 6. Yeah.
Good six.
Yep. Where are we at? Number 4, right? Everybody take number 5?
Number 4, yeah.
Alright, I guess I'll start. My number 4 is Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, Peter Jackson.
That's my number 4 as well. So
Jess, you with us?
Children of the Corn 2.
Really?
Ooh.
I had Dead Alive on the list, but I took it off.
Really?
Yeah.
That might be the most controversial pick so far.
now I would consider that a turd.
In general, yes. But
This is
the
the
turd
favorite
section.
and best, not the worst. Sorry, Jess. I apologize.
don't apologize. I deserve it. I do.
Oh, Dan?
Number 4 for 1992. I'm impressed that it's popped up on this list so many times because I think it's a movie, Highway to Hell, which I kind of feel if it came out 5 years before, maybe any time in the 80s, it would be a little better known. Because, I mean, it's just one hell of a wild, crazy ride. There's nothing quite like Highway to Hell, so I think that one deserves a lot of credit.
Yes.
I'm glad everyone's talking so much about it because I just bought it on that Kino sale and I'm looking forward to watching it now.
Oh, you'll love it. Yeah.
The special features are pretty good on it too.
Cool.
I think that's one of the first movies I remember going to convention and getting when you could buy the bootlegs
Yeah.
Yeah,
and watching.
Yeah.
that was a
Took
good
a
bootleg.
long time.
Yeah. Timmy?
My number 4 is kind of another controversial.
But
Yeah.
get ready,
Yeah.
Jeff.
The Split Second, which I just recently rewatched, and it's definitely a horror movie, even though it's a
It's more of a sci-fi movie, I think.
See,
I'm
I
not saying nothing.
would have put that in the sci-fi section.
Kim Cattrall. That's got to make the list.
Wow. Corey?
Did I miss Arachnophobia somewhere in the 90s here, too?
Yeah, you missed it by 2 years.
Yeah.
Another great one.
My number 4 is Dr. Giggles.
Oh yeah,
Love it. Larry Drake.
it's an honorable mention.
It needs a Blu-ray release.
It is on a double feature Blu-ray with the movie called Otis, but it's never had like a proper single release.
I'm really shocked it hasn't had like a collector's edition type release. It felt like a big movie back then.
Yeah, it's got to be like in the top 10 now of stuff that hasn't had that, so I think you'll get it.
We're at 3, right?
3? Yeah.
Who will start?
Oh, I can start. I'm sure this is going to be on everybody's list somewhere, but got to go Army of Darkness. I mean, it's Army of Darkness. It's just a ton of fun, and I still remember seeing it in the theater when I was little and falling in love. Not my favorite of the trilogy, but nonetheless, you can't go wrong with that. I smile every time.
Yes. A classic.
It's the weakest of the trilogy.
I would agree with that, but it's a strong trilogy.
I would disagree, but yeah, that's why we're here.
It's also totally different, though, too, which is kind of cool about that trilogy in general.
Timmy?
Number 4, 3. 3 is Brain Dead.
I expect it to be just about on everybody's list. Corey?
My number 3 is Demonic Toys. I actually shared a funny story in the comments section when you tried to do your live stream. My son, when he was like 2 or 3, walked into the room when I was watching this, and the part where Baby Oopsie Daisy says, "I can walk, I can talk, I can even shit my pants." You shit your pants. My son decided he was going to recite that, only he changed one of the words and says, "I can walk, I can talk, I can even shake my pants." So, he's a cute little shit then. I don't know what happened to him. But
Jess?
Mine's also Demonic Toys, but that surprised you a little bit.
It surprised me.
Does
Surprised
me.
me it's so low on your guys' list.
My number 3 is another one I watched maybe a couple of years ago for the first time, and it's Raising Cain, Brian De Palma.
I haven't seen that one. Oh, my number 3 is Sleepwalkers. This movie is a ton of fun. I wish
It is.
Stephen King would do
It
more
is.
cocaine and write more movies. Screw the books.
It's awful fun.
It's great. It's amazing.
If you ever thought Stephen King was a great writer, just watch that movie.
Yeah, because you'll be
That's
like, oh my
terrible.
God, he's amazing.
He's fucking terrible.
Because his movie's freaking awesome. I guess we're on number 2, right? I'm getting. Yeah, I'll start number 2.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Demonic Toys. Great, love it. It's my favorite full moon movie. It's probably the first full moon movie I ever watched, too. So
Number 2 for me is Army of Darkness.
Number 2. Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Timmy.
Well, I was just gonna say mine's also Army of Darkness. Just to
it works.
So it's a popular pick here. But my number 2 is Candyman.
Kind of
My number 2 is Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive. It took me many years, but I actually met Timothy Balmy, the star of that, finally, and I've always loved it. It's comic gold, and the only reason it's not number 1 is I kind of had to go with the straight pure horror movie over that one, but Dead Alive is amazing.
Corey?
my number 2 is Hellraiser 3. I love that one.
It's a good one. It's
Like a heavy metal Hellraiser.
It's the last good one out of the Hellraiser. Alright. Moving on to number 1. My number 1, it's already been mentioned, Army of Darkness. I go back and forth between Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2's. Which one's my favorite out of the trilogy there?
Number 1 for me was pretty easy. It stood way above the rest, really, and that's Candyman.
Good choice.
Jess?
And my number 1, it for me stood above a lot of these, though Candyman's freaking awesome, is Pet Sematary 2. I don't think it gets enough credit sometimes.
I like Pet Cemetery too.
Yeah.
My number 1 film No comedy whatsoever. It is like a pure nightmare. Just, yeah, pure nightmare on film, and that's got to be Candyman. I think it's probably a perfect film. Virginia Madsen's fantastic. It puts the most recent movie to shame. Candyman's must-see horror.
Yeah.
I forgot all about Candyman.
Mm,
But my number one is Demonic Toys. Love that film.
great.
My number one was also Candyman.
A lot of Candyman love. I'm not the biggest Candyman fan, I will admit.
Just kidding.
I know. How disrespectful. It wasn't even on your list at all, was it?
No, I don't even like it.
Yeah, it's no champagne and bullets, but it's
Yeah,
pretty
come on.
good.
It's no Sleepwalkers or anything.
How are we all friends, and how are you guys related?
I
It
don't
wasn't on my
know.
list either.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought it was.
I mean, I don't like it, but I don't love it like everybody else. And I didn't mind the remake, so
Only because I forgot about it. That's why I forgot on my
Oh,
list.
you did forget about it.
I
Jeez,
didn't
I guess
forget
that is
about it.
understandable.
well, I didn't forget about it.
But good lord.
It wasn't even in my honorable mentions for this year. All right, is that everybody's number one?
Yeah.
Let's move on to. Hold on, wait. Yep. Darren's Good Call Army Darkness is a fun watch. Ben has a Dr. Google's Blue out of Mexico. How does that look? I'll have to look into that. And then Ben Grimm's got Demonic Toys, Army of Darkness, Brain Dead, Dr. Google, and Candyman. A lot of Candyman love.
I'll keep my eyes out for that double feature Blu-ray if anybody wants it. I see it pop up once in a while.
I have it on DVD, and I think. Is this the Otis movie that it's the double back?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I already have this on Blu-ray, so don't like.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Kind
it's
of a
transferred.
random movie to pair it with too, so but no, it's the best. That's the best on Blu-ray so far.
Move into 1993, and
It's a good year.
what? Yeah, it's got one of the best franchises started in this year.
I know what your number one is.
Let Corey start us off with a K.
Oh,
Number 5 for 1993.
number 5, Return of the Living Dead 3.
Solid. I don't like it as much as everybody else does, but it's alright. Jimmy?
My number 5 is Freaked,
Oh yeah.
which is probably
What?
more of a Bizarro film, but I'm gonna piss Jess off.
Well, he's gone right now, so.
That's all right.
Freak could definitely give a lot of kids nightmares though. Some of the effects in that are pretty. Yeah.
Is that the Alex Winter one?
Yep.
Yeah. Alex Winter, Mr. T's in there. There's a ton of people
Quaid.
in that movie. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get a little weird with my number 5 pick. I think it is better than most of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, and that is Indian Nightmare on Elm Street, Mahakal, which is a blast. It's a weird ass pick. It's not for everybody, but it's
How you
also
spell
on
that?
Blu-ray now. Mahakaal. Mahakal. Yes.
I still need to pick that Blu-ray up.
Yeah, Massacre Video is only putting it out through their site right now. They're taking forever to ship mine, but yeah. So if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, you'll get a kick out of it.
Jess is gone, so Corey, do you want to?
Sure. Number 5 for me was Needful Things.
Solid. Like it. Uh, my number 5 is Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. Full Moon Classic right there.
I agree.
Get the best of both worlds. And I'll go ahead and start number 4. My number 4 is Body Bags.
That's my number 4 as well.
Oh, Dan,
Yeah, we can come back to Jess. My number 4 is a sequel that I actually ranked slightly higher than the first one, and I do like the first one, but Warlock: The Armageddon. I think it's a great movie. Actually, one of the cooler, one of my favorite gore scenes of the '90s when she gives birth to a full-grown Julian Sands, and he's just making those baby noises. I think one of the more disturbing horror gore scenes out there. So, yeah, Warlock: The Armageddon's really, really good. Another case where I think had he have started earlier in the '80s, we might have had like 10 Warlock movies.
Yeah.
yeah. Tim?
My number 4 is Ticks.
Almost made my list. Corey?
My number 4 is Subspecies 2.
That's I need to go back and watch too. Jess is gonna miss this whole year if he did not hurry up. We'll just, I guess, if he ain't back, we'll just let him do all his in a row. I'll start. My number 3 is Needful Things. I think I just watched that about a year ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think Kino put that out too, didn't they? Or I got it on their sale last sale.
Yeah, I think they might
On
have.
Blu-ray. Definitely sleeper. Go ahead.
My number 3, I guess it's kind of one of those. It's more thriller than horror, but California with Brad Pitt, Juliette Lewis.
Haven't
been
seen that in a
forever
long
since I've
time.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 for me is the Category 3 favorite, Untold Story with Anthony Wong. Extreme horror film. Not an easy watch, but I love Untold Story. A lot of people have been talking about Ebola syndrome recently, since they put the 4K out from Vinegar Syndrome, but sit down and watch Untold Story because it's a great film.
Check it out.
Cool.
Timmy?
Number 3 is Leprechaun.
Not high enough, but I'll allow it.
Well, I figured you would put all of them on here.
It was initially shot as a family film.
Yes,
Don't
it
tell
is.
Jess that.
Have you been in the family section?
Well, there were some re-edits, obviously, but yeah, initially.
Corey?
Number 3 was Puppet Master 4.
I can't remember that one. So, Jess, you need to give us your 5,
4 and 3.
5, 4, and 3.
So number 5 was Puppet Master 4 for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 4, and here's my controversy. It's a Halloween movie, and I don't think it's really horror, but I had Hocus Pocus down. But I might replace that with Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. I don't know. And my number 3 is Leprechaun.
Still a little bit too low, but stick on there. All right. Everybody say for 3, right? Well,
Yeah.
Dan, you want to start us off with number 2?
Number 2. All right. Number 2 for me is kind of the film that introduced a extremely popular director today, and that is Kronos from Guillermo del Toro. Not a lot of vampire stuff from this era that I really like too much, but Kronos is fantastic. Very touching vampire flick that's not traditional. It's just really, really good, and you should check out Kronos.
That's Criterion put that out, right?
Yeah, Criterion did put out a Blu-ray of Kronos. Yeah, it's a quiet movie. It's very emotional and sad. Also, being a Mexican film on a very low budget, started his relationship with Ron Perlman, who appeared in it. Because really believed in Del Toro at that time.
Timmy? Number 2?
Number 2 is Doll Man versus Demonic Toys.
I had the same for 2.
2. Jess?
My number 2 is Return of the Living Dead 3.
That's my number 2 as well.
Yeah.
They just need to drop the price on that Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, it's a pricey one.
Good night, Noah.
Anybody going to start with one?
Yeah, we can start. You want me to kick it off with one?
Sure.
Sure.
I'll take,
well-
I'll take the channel over.
Since we're already on the subject, my number 1 is Return of the Living Dead 3. I recognize it's not a perfect film. Again, this is just kind of our favorites, but I don't know. I was the right age when I saw it. That kind of Romeo and Juliet with the zombies vibe really worked for me, and a little disturbing that I was so into a girl with like glass sticking out of her skin. So Melinda Clark looks spectacular. I do think Return of the Living Dead 3 is awesome. So it's my number 1.
Yeah, I like it too. It's like they go from slap, like completely not serious, and then the 3 hits, and it's pretty dark
Oh yeah, when it
once you like get down to the story.
What,
My number 1 is the Australian classic Body Melt.
Oh yeah.
My number 1 is Leprechaun.
Good man, Corey.
Jacob Bruce.
All right.
My number. Is it me?
Go ahead. I don't know who it is. Just go. Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell. The Final Friday.
Number 1?
Number 1, 1993.
Wow.
Oh,
I said it.
did everybody go already?
I haven't done one yet.
Oh, no.
But,
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll still
my number 1, I guess no one mentioned it at all, but maybe I'm just alone here, but it's The Dark Half. Really enjoy that one.
So Needful Things and Dark Half?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same year?
Yeah. He was cashing them checks.
He was. I mean, he pretty much had a movie every year for
Yeah.
20 years.
Oh yeah, at that time, yeah.
I'm surprised to see Needful Things so high on everybody's list. I need to go back and revisit it.
good.
Yeah, it's actually one of the. There was a lot of crap at that time, but Needful Things was pretty solid.
Well, my number 2 was Jason Goes to Hell. My number 1, obviously, was Leprechaun because it's the greatest horror franchise ever made. So,
Hey, I'll say this for something so deep now into the franchise. There's only one Leprechaun movie I don't like, and that's the remake with Hornswoggle. I love everything else.
yeah, I
So-
agree.
It's strong franchise.
It is.
Ben's got Doppelganger, which were 2 Ticks, Needful Things, and Leprechaun, because Ben is awesome and smart and knows good cinema. And then Noah says goodnight there.
I told them goodnight.
Oh, you did? Well, moving into 1994.
This is a rough year.
This was a pretty good year.
I thought so.
I don't know. I was hard pressed to find 5.
This year's got like one of my favorite movies almost ever in it. In this
Leprechaun
year.
2.
No. I mean, it's in there, but no. So, I'll start 1994. Number 5 is New Nightmare. Even though I don't like it that much, I had to fill out a spot. So that's where it went, number 5.
Number 5 for me is one that I don't even remember how good it is. I just know I saw it at some point. It's Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
The only thing I remember about that movie, because I've seen it at the theater, but I don't remember the movie, but I remember going to the theater and the car breaking down. I got to set on the highway, almost missed the movie. It's the only thing I remember from Wolf.
It's a good memory.
Yeah. Jeff?
My number 5, it's kind of tied. It's Night of the Demons, but it bumped out Pumpkinhead 2 for the number 5 slot.
Bloodwing.
Dan?
So number 5 for 94 now we're at.
Yes, 1994.
I'm going to break and give one that's a little more obscure. There's probably better movies, but just to throw out one that people might want to track down, particularly if you're into Filipino folklore, and that is a film called Aswang, Aswang. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Sounds better than ass swang. Like I'm recommending a porno.
See, I would have watched it if you said ass wang.
Ass swang. Yeah.
Well, I thought he was going to say. It's a good one if you're into Filipino women. So,
Well, there you go. Yeah,
ass
Mondo-
swing works then.
Mondo Macabro put the DVD out. This one's not on Blu-ray yet, but it's a different low-budget vampire movie that I think is worth a look.
Check it out.
Yeah, it might be a little harder to find at the moment. I'm not sure, but you might get a used DVD fairly cheap.
Timmy?
My number 5, I don't remember. I just remember liking it, and this is why it's a rough year. But it's Lurking Fear.
Oh yeah.
Full Moon Joint? Horror?
My number 5 was Leprechaun 2.
A little low, but I'll allow it. Alright. So, moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Puppet Master 5. This is the last of the Paramount years, I think, right? 5 was.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
Yeah.
for Full Moon, the 90s would suck.
Castle Freak was kind of like the last hurrah in terms of anything resembling a budget for Full Moon. But I do like the late 90s. Hideous, Head of the Family. There was a lot of fun to be had.
Number 4 for me is The Stand.
Number 4 for me is Puppet Master 5.
Damn.
Number 4 for me, I think actually one of the more unique full moon movies. I've always been a big fan of it, and there was nothing like it quite at the time, and that is Dark Angel: The Ascent. One of the more serious ones. There's not a lot of comedy to be had in that one. Oh, there's a little bit, but yeah, really kind of epic too. It's a pretty high concept movie for full moon.
Timmy?
My number 4 is Cemetery Man.
So watch it. Corey?
My number 4 was also Puppet Master 5.
You want to start us off with number 3?
You want me to go?
Sure. If you want to.
All right, number 3 for me. I'm a big fan of the franchise, and I got to go Night of the Demons 2. Kind of have to put that in there somewhere because I was fortunate enough to be able to hang out on the documentary that's forever still in the making. So, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a fun franchise.
I still haven't. I've never seen any of them past the first one.
Oh, okay. 3's not good, but even that one's funny in a inept way. But 2's good.
Timmy?
My number 3?
Yeah.
Leprechaun 2.
My number 3 has the greatest ending to any vampire movie ever made in the history of vampire movies, Subspecies 3.
My number 3, Leprechaun 2.
Classic.
My number 3 is New Nightmare.
High up there. Sure, it's gonna be Jess's number 1. All right, number 2, right? I don't even know. No, 3. I'm getting confused already. My number 3 is Leprechaun 2. It's my I think it's my least favorite out of the franchise, other than the Hornswoggle one.
I don't know. I think it's one of the stronger ones. It's not my favorite, but it's solid.
So moving on to number 2. My number 2, 1994, is Brain Scan. I remember getting VHS to this. I love this movie. Everett Furlong. It's definitely feels like a 90s movie. Love it.
Number 2 for me is In the Mouth of Madness.
Classic.
Good one. My number 2 is also Brain Scan, and I really didn't discover this movie till like the mid 2000s.
Really?
I found a VHS like at the library, or still had a player.
I love it.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's great.
Factory Blue.
My number 2, 1994, has to be Dark Waters, the Mariano Bueno film, which great gothic horror movie, and it's kind of risen in popularity recently. It definitely deserves to be watched. Doesn't feel like it was made in the 90s at all.
Is that the one that kind of feels like a Lovecraftian?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Severin put the Blu-ray out. If you would love it, you would love Dark Waters.
Yeah, I've seen like half of it. I remember they saying something like they filmed it when a war was going on, and
Yeah,
you could hear
the
bombs going off
behind
in
the
the background.
yeah the behind the scenes on Dark Waters is quite interesting. So that's my number 2.
My number 2 is it's a classic. Interview with the Vampire.
Well, shit. I was hoping Jake was still going to be here when I said this, but I'll say it anyway. My number 2 takes Freddy's Dead and fucks it up against the wall with handcuffs on and super glue on its lips. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Number
I gotta
2,
rewatch.
You got to rewatch it, Timmy.
Yeah, I just remember I remember all the hype during, like, it was all over MTV and stuff, and I just was not ready for it. And they had that kind of documentary where it was haunted or on set or something like that.
Yeah, check it out again if it's been a while. Do you know the other? You know the other prior 6 films well, don't you?
One, two, three, and Freddy's Dead is about the only ones.
That's enough.
Yeah. Where are we at?
Number 1, I think. Have you done your number 2?
Yeah.
Everybody done their number 2? I thought.
Dark Waters for me. I think it went all the way around.
Yeah.
My number 1's one I think Corey already brought up with In the Mouth of Madness. It's probably one of my favorite movies. It's up there in my top 10. I love it.
Oh, nice.
Number 1 for me, you guys mentioned it. A lot of you. Number 2, Brain Scan. Just think it's a fun, kind of edgier seat the first time you watch it, at least anyway. Movie, so had a good time with it.
I was shocked to see it on as many people's list as it was.
It's a solid movie. Solid horror
Yeah.
movie. So good. It's fun, like you said, especially your first ride
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
And you've already said my number 1. It's Wes Craven's New Nightmare, of course. I saw it in theaters.
Right. My number 1 is pretty easy for this year. Cemetery Man. Michele Soavi. That was the last stand for Italian horror. It's amazing what he was able to do in 1994.
I need to watch it. I got the DVD.
Yeah.
My number 1 is In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh. My number 1 was The Crow.
If Jess allows it.
Yeah.
But there again,
Only
I was
this
going to bring
line.
that up. That's more of, again, a thriller, an action, love story.
The next
Gothic
time,
film.
you guys are gonna have to run your list through Jess to see if he approves.
I don't even approve of my own list half the time.
He's pissed at his own self.
So I do. We're not done yet.
I say you get an exemption if the star of the movie dies on set. It counts for horror.
That is
Then.
true. That is true.
It's real life horror.
Yeah.
But all right.
All right, ready for 1995. We're halfway there. So start my number 5 for 1990. Hold on. Yeah, my number 5 for 1995 is Tales from the Hood. Great anthology, love it.
My number 5 is The Prophecy.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Both of those are good picks. Neither made my list, but both very fine films. My number 5, and I know I'm kind of always cheaping out mentioning 2 some on these, but It's Candyman 2, but I kept bouncing back and forth with Children of the Corn 3 because really that is a solid Children of the Corn sequel.
I love Children of the Corn 3.
Yeah,
Urban Harvest.
you know,
Corn in the Hood, man.
right?
Classic.
Represent.
I didn't know you was a Children of Corn fan so much.
It's grown on me over the years. I just get hooked on franchise, especially when I go back and I needed something I hadn't watched in a long time.
We also live in Iowa, so
There you
That
go.
helps.
It helps too.
True.
So this one, I had 2 listed, but I'm not going to cheat.
Just do it.
Do it. I do it every time.
No, I'm not going to cheat. I'm a Clive Barker guy. It's not a perfect film, but I certainly loved it. I have fond memories seeing it in theaters, and that is Lord of Illusions.
Yeah.
Not a perfect adaptation, but I do still think it's a really strong movie, and yeah.
This my number 5 is also Lord of Illusions. This is one of the ones I rewatched here recently for this. So, and it I don't remember. I remember liking it more, but it's still a good film, especially the last probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy.
But it also has that Casadeli spell vibe, which I love.
Mm-hmm. And Famke Janssen doesn't hurt.
my number 5 is a shitty little movie that was actually shot in Jess and I's hometown called Mommy.
Mommy.
Okay.
Mommy.
Mommy.
Can't believe that made the list.
Yeah, it's the homer in me. What can I say?
All right. Number 4. My number 4 already been talked about. It's Lord of Legions.
Okay.
My number 4 is Halloween 6.
My number 4 is Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
So,
My number 4 has been mentioned. Tales from the Hood. Really good movie. Very disappointed in the sequels.
I haven't watched them, so
You don't need to rush. It's a robot in one of them. It's not. Yeah. There's one that doesn't even take place, most of it in the hood. So I was like, what is the guy? What is the point?
I think three is better than 2. But
3 is better than 2, but it's not great.
yeah.
Timmy.
My number 4 is Castle Freak. Classic.
My number 4 is the same as Jess's, Demon Knight. I love being able to say the line from the movie, "Get that pussy off the table. I got 3 cats in my house." So
Oh, Demon Knight. Alright, so going on to number 3. Corey, you want to start us out from number 3?
which
Corey
one?
with a K. Corey with a K.
Number 3, The Mangler.
Okay.
Tales from the Hood.
Dan?
All right. Number 3. Sorry. Number 3 for me is the Alex de la Iglesia cult classic Day of the Beast, which also is technically a Christmas horror film.
I need to watch that one.
Yeah, was not aware of it.
They just put it on 4K, ironically, but yeah, it's a crazy little movie.
Yes.
Number 3 is Leprechaun 3, and that is probably my favorite of the franchise.
could be for me too. That was a strong one.
It is just a fun, solid Vegas. You wouldn't think it was going to be as good as it was. Great lines.
Is that the one with the lawnmower scene, or is that two?
I think that's
That's
two,
Two's a lot more scene.
which is still, like I said, a pretty solid one.
3, Caroline Williams turns into a duck.
Yeah.
3, the one with the pogo stick.
No, that's 1.
Yeah, that's one.
Number 3 for me is Demon Knight.
I love the Demon Knight. Number 3 for me is Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard is awesome. And as I go ahead and start number 2, I think it's already been said by everybody, is Demon Knight.
My number 2 is Tales from the Hood.
A lot of Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Hood. My number 2 is Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation.
Are you serious?
I'm a franchise guy. Even some of the sucky ones.
Sorry, we're 2, right?
We're
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Number 2, I know it's been mentioned, Castle Freak. Every time somebody talks shit on Full Moon, I always bring up Castle Freak. I think it's a great horror movie. Not just a great Full Moon horror movie. I think it's just a great horror movie, period.
Timmy?
Number 2,
Yeah.
if Jess will allow it, Screamers.
I'll allow it.
I know it's a sci-fi, but
It is more. That's where I would categorize it, but
it's the greatest Philip K. Dick.
you got me. You do got me.
Well, my number 2 is also Castle Freak.
Seems like for the most part everybody's on the same track here as far as movies, same movies throughout this year.
We got a lot of Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Crypt that were on everybody's list.
That's
Almost
the era,
everybody's.
though.
Yeah.
Well, number 1, 95 for me is Leprechaun 3.
Of course.
It is my favorite of the series. Got a lot of great stuff in it.
Number 1 for me definitely falls in that thriller category, I'd say. But I think there's good horror elements in it too, and it's 7.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Thriller, but good call.
There's a head in the
Probably
box at the end. So
There is a
It's
head in
probably
the
got
box.
more horror elements in it than Silence of the Lambs.
I could agree with that. Number 1 for me, I don't think this is a surprise to you guys, Halloween 6, Curse Michael Myers.
Number 1 for me is Demon Knight for 95. I think what does that movie not have? I think Demon Knight is a blast, and yeah, I'm still in love with it after all these years.
Billy Zane's great in it. too.
Oh yeah.
My number 1 is also Demon Knight. Not only is it a great movie, it's probably one of the greatest soundtracks.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I had it on CD back in the day.
I just bought it on vinyl, so
Nice.
great.
My number 1 is The Prophecy.
nice.
I had it on my
On the list. Honorable mention.
Jess, I did have Texas Chainsaw Massacre at like 6. So
Okay,
missed
so
the cut.
I don't feel so bad then, I guess.
McConaughey makes that movie watchable for me. Like,
Yeah.
he's just
The overact is
entertaining. Yeah.
Oh, when I first watched it, I hated it. But it has grown on me over the years.
Yeah.
I rewatched. I bought it. I got it the Scream Factory at least. So I don't hate it that much.
I'll watch it over anything basically past the 2003 movie.
Oh, come on, Texas Chainsaw ain't that bad.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
3D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even know people in that movie. It was bad.
No, it was good. It's fun. It was a lot of fun. All right. Move on. 1996. And
This was a rough year.
This was a
This
tough
was a
year to
rough
pick them
year.
all and put them into 5.
yes. I'll start. I guess my number 5. Which it's been forever since I've seen it, but I had to put something, so I put it. It's Thinner.
Carrie Wurr, right? Yeah, she's
What?
great in that. Great to look at.
Been forever since I don't even remember liking it the first time I watched it, but I had to put it on there.
Well, number 5 for me is Bordello of Blood.
Both very good ones. Number 5 for me, again, I can name probably 3. And this one is controversial because it's kind of a comedy, is The Frighteners. I liked it a lot. It's gone in theaters.
I think you're okay. I wouldn't classify that as just a comedy. That's definitely
It's comedy horror, but it's, you know.
Yeah, it's still well, mine, I guess you could possibly make that argument too, but there's nothing like it, and I'm going to do a full moon film for number 5, Head of the Family. What a weird ass movie. I still remember picking up the VHS at Sunburst Video and falling in love with it. There's nothing like at this point when we're just hitting that Scream era. I was always starving for something different. And Head of the Family was definitely different. So that's my number 5.
I bought the Blu-ray. I still need to watch it.
Yeah, you've never seen it?
No, I've never
Oh,
seen it.
It's a good one.
My number 5 is also Frighteners.
Nice.
My number 5 was Thinner. I don't get a nice Jess.
It is nice. I just... I like that movie a lot.
You're hurting my feelings, Jess.
I'm just trying to hold it in.
God.
It's my number 4, guys.
Well, I guess just start with your number 4. We'll go around.
Oh, my number 4?
Yeah.
It's Thinner.
Oh,
Saw it in theaters. Liked it a lot.
I did too.
It was fun. I don't think it gets enough credit sometimes.
It's also my number 4, so let's go ahead.
Sweet. Oh, we've got
5 and
4
4.
and 5. Yeah.
We
Sweet.
just become best friends.
I love it.
We're on number 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 4 for me. I've got to go. It is a rough year.
It's The Craft, isn't it? That's your number 4, Dan.
No, I enjoy The Craft, but that didn't crack my list. I am gonna go with some schlock and say The Dentist. Schlock, but still scary. I mean,
I mean,
really the first film to fully capitalize on that.
and there was like
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them, right?
Just 2 Dentist
Just
movies,
2?
actually. Yeah, Brace Yourself was the second one.
The
I'm pretty
Razor.
sure I had a dentist poster.
The second one's pretty cool. It's got like the bleeding gums on it. It's yeah.
The Craft was my number 4. I don't know what order we're going in here, but
It don't matter.
I threw that out there. That was my number 6.
Who's done the number fours?
I think you and I are the only ones who have it.
It kind of got crazy because it went from people's Thinner on number 5, and I had Thinner on number 4, and then so did Timmy. And we just kept going.
Okay. Well, since y'all have already said it, my number 4 is the dentist as well.
Cool.
My number 4 was Bordello of Blood.
All right. So moving on number.
Great one.
It is. Moving on number 3. My number 3 is From Dusk Till Dawn. Does that count? Is that good enough, Jess? Is it?
It's a great one.
My number 3 is Scream.
My number 3 is Bordello of Blood.
Nice. My number 3 is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
My number 3 would be The Craft.
More than I thought, mentioning The Craft. Cool.
My number 3 was The Frighteners.
Well, number 2, moving on to number 2. It's already been mentioned, but my number 2 is Bordello of Blood. And I think I like it more than Demon Knight. And no, it's not because Corey Feldman's in it.
I like it more than Demon Knight, and it probably helps that Corey Feldman was in it. Dennis Miller, I thought, was great, even.
It was great. A lot of boobies in it.
Boobies.
Yeah.
Always good.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was more boobies than even Demon Knight.
Well, yeah, because they're in a freaking brothel.
Yeah.
Well, just to give you a perspective, when I was researching this, I looked at box office for this year, and Hellraiser Bloodline outbeat Bordello of Blood by a lot, almost twice as much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's insane. Tales from the Crypt couldn't even.
Only issue with Bordello of Blood is I can see the people that don't like it. They just don't like Dennis Miller, and Dennis Miller is front and center for the whole film, so I get it. But I do like Bordello of Blood.
I think his character works perfect for that, his persona.
it
For
does.
that character.
It does. I've heard a lot of people comment on it that just don't like him for whatever reason. And
He's a nice guy.
oh, you met him?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Boston Public.
What do you call you?
Well, he gave me the name of Jim. I had no name. I was a regular background student on the last season of Boston Public. And he's like, you. He had to call somebody to come up to the board at the end of the scene. He's like, you, Jim. He asked me if I had a name. I said no. I said, I'll figure out something. Jim.
Blu-rays 2.0, hello. Jay the
Blu-rays.
Stingray.
A couple
What's
of
up,
regulars
Jim?
out there.
So,
Number 2 for me was From Dusk Till Dawn.
That is also my number 2.
Number 2. Sorry, where are we at here? My notes are really messy. Number 2 for
96.
we're on 96. All right, my bad. My number 2 for 96 is Ebola Syndrome.
I'm going to pick it up eventually from Vinegar Syndrome.
There's nothing like it. I don't want to guarantee anybody will love something, but Ebola Syndrome is, yeah. Double feature with Untold Story for a really interesting night.
Okay.
Number 2,
Mm-hmm.
it is Tremors 2. I think that came out in 96, right?
Yeah.
We'll say yes.
Surprised it took that long, too.
And my number 2 was Scream.
Well, I'll start number one because my number one is also Scream. Um, it it is a classic now. And everybody can hate on it for what it did, but it's not its fault. But it made so damn much money that everybody wanted to copy off of it. Just the copies weren't as good as the copies we had in the 80s of the successful stuff.
Well, number one for me is The Frighteners.
Nice. Number one for me is, of course, Scream. I loved it, and it did set the '90s horror. You know.
Yeah, I wasn't a Scream guy, so my number one is also Frighteners.
I also was not a Scream guy. My number one is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Good choice, though. Good choice for number one.
My
Lots
number
of good
one
choices.
was also From Dusk Till Dawn.
I don't know what the Scream.
I don't, I don't understand.
No boobies.
Before it was either straight to video horror that was doing well, or things that were seeping over from the '80s and sequels.
Yeah. My problem is all the sequels or the knockoffs at Spawn I'd rather watch than the actual Scream series. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer and
Oh,
Urban
really?
Legend, stuff like that.
Well, I think Urban Legend is fantastic, but I think the others
No.
are subpar.
Urban Legend's probably the only one that I really genuinely like from that era. I mean, I softened on Scream later on, I guess, but yeah, Urban Legend's my favorite.
Okay. Moving on, 1997. My number five is Event Horizon. Yeah, I recently just watched this in the last probably 6 months. Really, really good movie.
My number five is Anaconda.
Man, this was 97 was probably the hardest year for me. 'Cause I wanted to both put Anaconda on there. I like Anaconda a lot, but I didn't. Jeff, do you allow Anaconda, Jeff? Is Anaconda okay?
It's more of a creature feature.
Yeah.
I would say that, an adventure, kind of, again, suspenseful, but it is on my list, I will say.
And I guess it spawned the creature features of the early or late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and I have a few of them on. So, but a creature feature is horror, so you gotta, yeah. But my number five is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Frost.
Nice. I will go with one that some people love this one, some don't. It's always kind of been a mixed review kind of film. But Bleeders with Rutger Hauer. Very odd film. Also very awesome VHS art back in the day. I really like it. And yeah, that's my number five.
Can't beat Rutger Hauer in the '90s.
No.
I was gonna say something similar, yeah.
I recommend, it's not a good movie, but tracking down a movie called Red Line, where he has a nude kickboxing scene with some Russian female kickboxers. Pretty awesome.
Timmy, your number five?
Number five,
Yeah.
Quicksilver Highway.
Never heard of it.
It's a Stevie King short story and a Clive Barker short story.
Yeah, Mick Garris.
Yeah. The Chattering Teeth and was it the Ham Politic thing?
My number five was Jack Frost.
Nice.
What did Jack Frost love? All right. Moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Cube. The original Saw, in a way, I guess. Really solid. If you guys ain't seen it, I highly recommend it.
My number 4, Scream 2.
My number 4 is Wishmaster.
Nice.
Saw it in theaters.
My number 4, also going a little bit obscure, is the Australian serial killer film, The Ugly.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
My number 4 is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
My number 4 was the Vampire Journals.
Full movies one. Going to number 3. My number 3 is Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in Space. My second favorite out of the franchise.
I agree.
Oh, cool.
A lot of great stuff in it. I mean, Leprechaun wields a lightsaber. What more do you want?
My number 3 is Event Horizon.
Jess?
Sorry. My number 3 is Anaconda. It's tough for me to call it horror, but I do love that movie.
My number 3 is a Christmas staple. In fact, I'm probably going to watch it after this show, and Jack Frost. It's just pure happiness. I love Jack Frost.
It is good.
Not the Michael Keaton film.
That's a good one too.
Unless a carrot ends up in Shannon Elizabeth, I'm not interested. But yeah.
Tim?
Number 3.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Devil's Advocate.
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for the Satan taking over the world.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Keanu.
Well, that too.
I thought he was going to say the sister on the desk, but
That too.
my number 3 is Scream 2.
I like that Scream on there. Oh. And, well, my number 2 is Scream 2 as well. And, man, sometimes I like it more than the original.
I agree
It's
with
a really
that.
solid sequel.
I can't stand it. So. Scream 2.
Oh, whatever.
My number 2's, I don't know, maybe a little obscure one. It's a movie called Campfire Tales.
Yep,
I've always enjoyed that one.
it's a good one.
2's pretty basic. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think I saw. So basically, I saw 4 to 1 all in the theaters. I think I saw this with you, Corey, in Ohio. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Didn't we go to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we did.
My number 2, I'm a big sci-fi fan, big horror fan, but this is definitely one that leans horror, and that is Event Horizon. I have a lot of arguments over that movie. Some people just really hate it, and I don't understand why.
Oh, it's really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Cube.
My number 2 always makes me crave Jello Jigglers. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Nice.
Classic. Let's see what we got. The Race 2.0. It's a good movie. I've never watched it. It is. Need to watch it. It is good. Ben says he's watched Urban Legends way more than Scream.
Which
Sounds about.
is great.
I don't like Urban Legends that much. Well, Jay don't like Scream either. And Jay loves it. Yeah, cut footage. Well, moving on to number one for 1997. My number one is Wishmaster. It might be one of my favorites out of the whole 90s in general. Really love it.
Number one for me is my favorite of the Scream ripoffs. It's I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No way. Scream 2, baby. Like you said, Jake, I think I almost even like it more than the first one, and I'm a big Scream fan.
Well, my number one for 97 is a film that's, even to this day, to this very year, gets ripped off a lot, and that is Cube. I kind of wish the sequels weren't made. I just think that movie was perfect. Some quirky acting aside by a couple of the actors. I love Cube.
Yes.
You don't like Cube 2?
Cube 2 was okay. Then by the third, they just
Yeah, the third
explained.
one's kind of checked out.
Yeah, they explained too much. They should have just left it. The way that one ended was perfect.
Yes.
But we do have a Korean remake on the way.
My number one is one of the greatest, probably, horror sci-fi movies. Is Event Horizon.
My number one is Wishmaster.
There you go. Classic. Was the only three of us have Wishmaster on the list?
It was on my honorables, but I just don't remember it that much. Because I remember a head going up some guy's ass. That's all. I
No,
remember.
that's part two.
Oh,
That's
see, there you go.
That's two. Two's the last good one after Andrew Dividoff is not the Wishmaster, the Dinge anymore.
I did watch
In 3 and 4.
Andrew Davidoff film Graveyard Shift for this. Didn't make my.
No, it's still
It's still good.
decent.
It's gross as could be.
Yeah. Moving on, 1998. Yeah, almost got the 90s done here. Let's see, but before we start, I think Ben had his 97. Anaconda, Scream 2, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Wishmaster, Event Horizon.
Nice.
Jay liked the first Cube and Graveyard Shift as well. And Relic would be higher on Ben's list if it wasn't so dark. Alright, start off the 98. My number 5 for 1998 is D. Snyder's Strangeland.
My number 5 is John Carpenter's Vampires.
Nice.
My number 5 for 98 is Disturbing Behavior. There's quite a bit this year. It's tough.
I don't think there was that much this year.
It starts to pick up in 99, but my number 5 is a really quirky vampire flick called Modern Vampires that I always like quite a bit. Rod Steiger, Kim Cattrall, Casper Van Dien. Fun little movie.
My number 5 is The Faculty.
really good.
My number 5 is Bride of Chucky.
Moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Urban Legends.
My number 4 is Urban Legend too.
My number 4 is The Faculty.
My number 4, since I really haven't done franchises for the most part, is Bride of Chucky.
My number 4 is also Bride of Chucky.
My number 4 is Strangeland.
It needs to get a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, it does.
Well, my number 3. My number 3 is John Carpenter's Vampires.
My number 3 is The Faculty.
Nice. It's a solid 90s horror. My number 3, I wish I could put higher on my list. I just couldn't, though, because I think it deserves it. But Urban Legend. Next to Scream, I think it's one of the best 90s horror movies.
My number 3 is one that was sadly kind of ignored at the box office, but I always had a lot of fun with it. Deep Rising.
My number 3 is also Urban Legend, which they pretty much took half the cast from Scream 2 and just put them in Urban Legend.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Halloween H2O.
Moving on, number 2. My number 2 is The Faculty. Man, the cast of this is insane for a lot of stars in this movie.
I'm not sure why I put this one so high. My number 2 is Halloween H2O.
I think it's a good spot.
Jeff?
My number 2 is Bride of Chucky.
My number 2 is a film before zombies made their big comeback, and I think it's really, really good. The Japanese zombie flick Biozombie.
Never heard of it.
Check it out. It's really, really good.
Good.
A really fun movie too.
Tim?
I had Blade written down, but did that come out in 98?
Yeah.
Was it 99?
Yep.
Did it? Okay. Blade number 2.
Forgot about Blade.
My number 2 was Urban Legend.
Cool.
Alright, moving on. Number 1. My number 1 is my second favorite out of this franchise, Bride of Chucky. It's got a good soundtrack too.
My number 1 is Blade.
I forgot about Blade.
I did kind of forget about it. My number 1's H2O. I love it.
My number 1, and the sequel actually came out the same year, but wasn't gonna pick 2 from the same franchise, is Ringu. I think it's way better, miles better than The Ring. Not that that's a bad movie by any means, but Ringu is a genuinely horrifying movie and really, really good.
My number 1 is Dark City.
Well, that would have made the list. I kind of thought, not quite horror for me,
Yeah.
but that is a masterpiece. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it more than Matrix. So we've talked about that a lot lately on different podcasts. I think Dark City's awesome.
My number 1 is probably at least in my opinion, the second most badass horror movie in the 90s, John Carpenter's Vampires. I don't think I've laughed so hard in my life as when he pulls the truck over and starts kicking the shit out of the priest and then asks him if he got wood. And am I the only one that wants to see some sort of a mashup of James Woods' character from that movie and George Clooney's character from Dusk Till Dawn together in one movie?
I thought you were going to try to team up Bon Jovi and him.
No,
Woods.
no, he can do the soundtrack.
I'm surprised none of you Full Moon fans said Curse of Puppet Master, because I had a hard time keeping that off my list. It's one of my favorite Puppet Masters.
I wanted to, but
Yeah.
It's not my favorite Puppet Master, but I do love the franchise.
Still can't believe I forgot about Blade. Blade probably would have been in there. I don't know where though. Oh,
And it also shows you how weak I Know What You Did Last Summer stands as a franchise, because I don't think anybody mentioned I Still Know What You Did Last Summer either. Y'all want to call that better than Scream.
yeah.
I think we can all agree the third one sucked, and that friend. I Know What You Did Last Summer 3 is spectacularly
I don't know if I
bad.
ever saw it.
Blu-rays 2.0, Broad Chucky as it is. It's a great movie. Ben's got Broad Chucky, H2O, Faculty, Urban Legends, and Blade.
Good ones.
Wow. Alright, we are into the final year of the 90s, 1999. I figured this year would be better,
Yeah.
just from the stuff, before, but
I think it's a solid year.
it ain't a bad year. Definitely a movie in here that starts a whole other subgenre, or makes it more mainstream.
Creature
It was
features.
a turning point year for sure.
But I guess I'll start. My number 5 for 1999 is Lake Placid.
That's my
Does that
number
count,
5 too.
Oh. Will you allow that, Jess?
I have to.
Okay.
I have to.
Okay. Jess, it's your turn.
Oh, shit. My number 5, and a lot of people don't like this movie. I thought it was good when I saw it in theaters. The Haunting. It's not one I rewatch over and over, but
Liam Nelson, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it on Blu-ray. I bought Paramount Select or whatever. I bought it on Blu-ray.
Made for
Oh, my.
1999.
You mean The Haunting or Haunting or House on Haunted Hill?
No, I mean The Haunting.
Ooh. You better hope Lauren doesn't listen to this.
I know. I know. 'Cause everybody else likes House on Haunted Hill, and I'm like, that one.
All right, number 5. I am gonna go with a weirdo movie, Asian horror film from Shinya Tsukamoto, Gemini. Very weird film. It's not one I would recommend to everybody, but I like it a lot.
Timmy?
It's number 5,
Yeah.
99. I'm going to go with, I think it came out in 99. End of Days.
Schwarzenegger?
my number 5 was Lover's Lane.
The film that brought us Anna Faris.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, first major movie. Well, I don't know if it's a major movie, but yeah, she did that right before Scary Movie.
Moving on to number 4. My number 4 for 1999 is Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. Round Halloween time staple for me.
I was so excited for that. It disappointed me. So I have a hard time with that one. Just wasn't what I expected.
I like it.
Number 4, I'm going with Audition.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, years.
I haven't seen that one either.
My number 4 is a double question mark, like your guys' Lake Placid, Deep Blue Sea. I
Yep.
had to argue with myself on this.
Yeah, it counts.
Horror.
I'll allow it.
It counts. My number 4. Sorry, I had some sticking points on these. My number 4 is Ravenous. A weird one, but very unique in '99. Like I said, '99 was like a turning point year where I think people were trying to do a few things that were a little different. And I like Ravenous.
My number 4 is also Ravenous.
Nice.
My number 4 is Witch House.
Oh, good.
Moving on to number 3. My number 3 is Wishmaster 2: Evil Never Dies. That's where the guy shoves. It's not. He don't. No head to go up his ass. He fucks himself in the ass. This is what he does.
It's an honorable mention.
It's a classic there, I tell you.
Yes, it is.
My number 3 is House on Haunted Hill.
I feel like on that one, that's like a turning point as far as I feel like 13 Ghosts, Ghost Ship, they all look the same as far as the way they're shot.
Lake Placid is my number 3.
My number 3, I'm gonna go with because I do rewatch this one at least once a year. Yeah, Idle Hands.
It's a good one.
It's just a fun movie. Devon Sawa's excellent in it, and I've been enjoying his kind of resurgence lately.
Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky and
I didn't even recognize him if it
Black
wasn't for the
Friday.
credits.
Black Friday was a lot of fun. Yeah.
My number 3 is Stir of Echoes. Probably the best Richard Matheson adaptation.
Yeah, I agree. Another one that nobody went to see in '99 either. It was sad. Yeah.
I saw it in the theater.
I did too, but I was like with 5 people.
My number 3 is Stigmata.
Forgot about Stigmata.
I gotta rewatch it. I don't think
I
I've seen it
agree.
since '99.
I remember when it came out. It creeped me out as a kid.
Gabriel Byrne did a few back-to-back satanic-themed horror movies within a couple years.
Yeah, one of them was In the Days, wasn't
Yeah, End of Days, Stigmata. Yeah.
it? And he had that show that came out in probably 2000.
hmm I love Gabriel Byrne. A lot of people put over Toni Collette for Hereditary, but Gabriel Byrne is so good in that movie. He's quiet acting, but it's very heartbreaking in that movie.
Number 2. My number 2 is Idle Hands. It's a fun movie.
It's gonna bring up earlier. I know can't, but I would argue it's a comedy more than a horror.
Oh,
But definitely a horror film, though.
yeah.
I mean, that storyline for sure.
Acceptable for sure.
Well, my number 2 is Stir of Echoes.
I need to go back and watch that one too. It's been a while.
It holds up.
Yeah.
I can't
Really
believe
good
this
use. That was one of the first movies I remember like using one song through it to as kind of like a theme through the movie.
Uh,
Well, I can't believe I put this as number 2, but I guess it deserves it. The Blair Witch Project.
My number 2 is Stir of Echoes. It is a great Richard Matheson adaptation, and if you haven't seen it, again, genuinely scary movie. It holds up perfectly.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff I need to go back and rewatch now.
No, Stir of Echoes is a great watch. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. My number 2 is also Idle Hands. It probably reminds me of like being in high school at the time, because I was in high school at the same time he was.
Yeah.
Also, the first big Jessica Alba movie too.
Yep.
Idle Hands is also my number 2.
Oh. You know what number 1? My number 1 for 1999 is The Blair Witch Project.
My number 1 is also The Blair Witch Project.
My number 1, I had a hard time not saying anything when you guys were mentioning it, is by far Stir of Echoes.
Nice. My number 1 is the Takashi Miike classic Audition.
My number 1, I'm pretty sure it came out in Japan in '99. It might have came out in the States in 2000, but I'm gonna go with it. Is Wild Zero.
Ooh, that is a good movie. I almost regret not putting that on the list, but yeah.
I almost didn't, but I saw where 99, and I think it came out in Japan in 99, so I went ahead and put it down.
Yeah, some listed as 99 or 2000, but that's a good pick.
It's one of my top at least top 5 movies of all time.
It's a great cult movie. It really is.
My number 1 for 99 is Colobus.
Oh, Colobos? Oh, awesome.
Colobos? How you spell that?
Never heard of that.
Kolobos.
Yeah, it's on Blu-ray too. Yeah, Linnea Quigley has a small role in that one.
Former WWE diva Amy Weber stars.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah.
It's also a trivia question on our trivia show, right?
Yes, it is.
Now, I wanted to ask you guys, now that we're done, can you pick out of all your number 1s a top movie for the 90s?
It's tough. Maybe Candyman. It's tough a whole decade, but yeah, I mean it's Candyman would be in the discussion for sure.
For sure.
Of what?
Just best horror movie overall.
Oh.
I would go with The Blair Witch Project, because I saw that in the theater opening night, and that was probably one of the best theater experiences I ever had. Just because it was still in that time period before all the, a lot of people still thought it was a real thing, so it was a pretty cool experience. So
I'd have to say Scream, but only because I think of 90s horror. That's not saying Candyman isn't better in some ways. But I think of Scream and then Urban Legend and that type. Candyman feels more like it's come out of the 80s, even though it's an early 90s horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this show will be a good guide for people to some stuff that you haven't heard of. Honestly, I'm kind of regretting not picking Wild Zero. I think I just didn't have it on my list for the year, but Wild Zero is a must-see cult movie. Like Rocky Horror level cult movie. It's just really wild.
Any word on a Blu-ray on it?
I haven't really heard anything about that, but I sure
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, I got the. Is it Blue Underground or Synapse?
Synapse put it
Yeah.
out on DVD.
Yeah, I think Synapse. Yeah, that's well worth checking out. It's a pretty good Asian horror. There was a lot like the following year. It's funny when you get into the 2000s, which are very underrated because you started having like classic after classic after classic. I don't know if you're going into the next decade at some point, but I think it'll be a lot more tricky to
Yeah,
narrow it down to 5.
Yeah, I feel like in the early 2000s that horror gets revived.
Yeah, it does. That probably like each year almost really.
Yeah, because you got everything. Like you got still continue on with some series. Everything's on the table then. Plus
You got some Supernatural. You got
the
some
Supernatural. Yeah,
Ghost, and then you start to get your gore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The French Extreme wave in like 06, 07.
it almost feels like the 80s when like everything went. Just they threw everything at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. DVD had come into its own at that point, and it just, yeah, you just got the volume is much higher.
Yeah.
So that's like the next question is, Jake, if you're going to continue this sort of series, and are you doing the horror of the 2000s or are you doing the 1970s
Oh. I don't know.
or a different decade for all that matters?
Like 70s is gonna have to be last because there's gonna have to be a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have to watch.
I feel like we pressured him into doing this one. Oh, I don't.
These are so much fun, though, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least doing them up.
Oh no, they are. No, yeah, we do the for what 2000, 2010, right?
Well, that'd be two separate ones, wouldn't it?
We'll be
I mean-
2000 to 2009. I guess,
Oh
right?
yeah,
The way you've been doing it.
2000, 2009, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to start on that early. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and then 70s is as far back as I'm going to go, and we'll do that one last because I'm gonna have the most homework to do on that one, and I'm not watching any that much shit from the 60s, 50s, or anything on. It's not gonna happen.
Another reason you hope Lauren doesn't listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
When are you doing your series on the 20s?
No, what do you think I've seen? Yeah, I really have. When did
The top one
Black
film of each
Monsters
year.
come out? When did the Universals come out? 20s?
They were the 30s, I think.
30s.
30s, 40s.
When did
and early
Nosferatu
50s.
come out?
That's
Nosferatu?
20s, I think.
1922.
Okay, I've seen one film, and it's a piece of shit. So,
You've seen Freaks, haven't you?
That's a good one.
no.
Oh, Freaks is timeless. I think you'd like Freaks.
Yeah.
It does. It holds up quite well for being that old.
We're coming up on the 100-year anniversary of Nosferatu, so I think you'll see some coverage on that one next year.
Commentary.
What
Put
was
it on
the
screen, even. It's public
Yeah.
domain.
Yep.
hey Dan? What was the Peter Lorre movie he did over in Germany?
In Germany?
Yeah, it was. I want to say it was M.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was, my head was going to his first American movie for some reason when you said that, but
M's a good movie.
yeah, M was a little bit later. I think that was 31 or 32. No, 31.
Vin Graham, for his top 5 of 99, he had Idle Hands, House on Iron Hills, Sleepy Hollow, Blair Witch, and Stir Echoes.
Good picks.
And then this is one, I think it's in the 20s or at least 30s or something. Haxon, I have seen that. I do like Haxon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
House,
good.
no. If you want
30?
another, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You said 30s had some bangers, and I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to watch to find out. So
I would also recommend Mad Love, which is Peter Lorre's first American film, I believe, from 1935. I might be off a year or so on some of these, but
I thought you were talking about like the Drew Barrymore movie.
no. Well, you can double them up, I guess, if you want to get weird with it.
35, wasn't that the same year that the Maltese Falcon came out? The
Roughly, yeah.
version with him and Bogart?
Yeah, it would have been around that time, I think.
Okay.
But Mad Love's a really good one. So there you go. I redeemed it for Lauren.
but yeah, we'll do 2000, 2009. Sometime in January, maybe towards closer to the end,
Awesome.
whatever works.
Yeah. I think you'll see when you go into the 2000s. I mean, you could do top 20 lists if you wanted to, because there's just so much stuff.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot harder, I think, even in the
Yeah.
80s to narrow down just 5.
I don't think from at least 2015 to now, I don't think I've even watched 5 horror films.
Oh, well.
You might be right. I might be with you there, Timmy.
There's some good stuff to watch.
Yeah. But well, I guess we'll go ahead and end it. Go around the room and plug what you got. Corey, you want to start?
Yeah, S'mores and Doors, I'll have a big DVD Blu-ray haul Christmas Day in the afternoon. I've got that uploaded and ready to roll out that day. New Year's Eve, starting at 10:30 Central, have a big New Year's Eve party. Bring your own booze, and we'll have a good time that night. And then shortly into the new year, I'll be announcing 2 new channels that we're bringing on. So
Wow.
Nice.
Jeff?
Cable Channel 11, go check us out. We just did a Horror Rumble, Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. Hopefully more Jess Graham lives and hopefully some specials will finally get off the ground. Corey?
What Jess said.
We are Flesh Wound Features on YouTube. We've got our Slashmas tournament that's coming to an end, I guess, tomorrow. We've also got our Cram Session episode on the 29th for some major films that we didn't get to review in 2021, and we'll have our best of show sometime early January. So we'll pick our top 5 of 2021.
as Ben says there, Vinegar Syndrome's announcing 20 new releases on New Year's at midnight. We'll go over those on the New Year's Eve show, I guess. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Hopefully it's nothing good, so I don't buy anything else.
It's hard to keep up with them lately.
It is. But that was the horror of 1990. And
Yeah.
peace out.